All right. So this is exciting. This is like a surprise. I never thought I'd see happening like ever again. Guild Wars, the original Guild Wars, where I first started my Guild Wars journey on, is actually getting reforged. It's actually going to be called Guild Wars Reforged. And we're going to go through all the details right here. You can see the trailer that's playing here. There's not really a whole bunch to it. Basically states that yes, there's still no monthly subscription, states some of the updates that are coming with it. But let's jump in. There's a lot. So this is over on the official guildwars.com website, where you can come over and read about, what's actually going to happen. And this is going to be a free update. So if you own these games, right, this is all going to be a free update. Obviously, they're going to make it so that they're repackaging it, calling it Guild Wars Reforged, which will be running at a cheaper price. And this is all coming in 2 weeks from at least today, my time, on December 3rd. So this is really cool. Obviously, a lot of the big questions are, am I going to be able to log in with my old account? The answer is yes, absolutely. So it basically, this is kind of like the selling page, if you will. You got like the 3 main campaigns, as well as Eye of the North. That will be, I believe it will be in there. I'm assuming Eye of the North will be included in there, even though it only mentions these particular ones here. So I'm assuming it will be, right? It's probably just added in, perhaps, like as just part of it. I don't know, right? That is actually kind of strange. It doesn't actually mention that at all. So yes, that's an interest. That is interesting. Okay, all right. So we might get some more clarification on that. Anyway, so it says here we've got a new low price, Steam Deck verified pending. I actually have a Steam Deck. I've been playing a little bit of it, of Guild Wars 2 using it. Very functional, works very well. I had to modify a couple of buttons, but otherwise it's a really, really good experience if that's your thing. Otherwise, I have like a wireless, like a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. So if I don't want to sit there and actually use the actual Steam Deck controls, I can just sit there and prop it up on a stand and just play it that way. It's got support for X input controllers such as the Xbox wireless controller. Excellent. New Quest tracking and direction system. All right. So, and we're going to get into, because this isn't. So we've actually got another team that's actually developing this, right? Which to me sounds amazing because, some of those quality of life things that we've wanted for a very long time, hopefully, maybe, might actually come to fruition. If we've actually got a completely separate team here developing this could actually lead down the track of having some really awesome stuff that's added into the game. And we have, and I don't mean like additions that we've had over the years. We've actually had some really cool additions, free additions added over the years. But quality of life stuff, like basically looking at essentially like the transmutation system that we have in Guild Wars 2. The same with the miniatures as well, having some sort of like ability to bank them, and we can access that in a separate tab instead of having to carry them around in our bags and taking up space. Those little things I think would actually end up being pretty awesome. So the new quest tracking and direction system, well, obviously when you're going out in the world, it'll show you, where you need to go. On-screen control guide, so that way you can figure out what buttons you need to press, I'm assuming here. The UI enhanced with HD skill icons, larger text options, and quality of life improvements. Right, so I don't know if what I just mentioned will be part of the quality of life improvements. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. There is apparently a stream with Lara Nitty, I think. I'm never going to get that right, I don't think, unless I'm told. Apparently they're doing they'll be part of an official stream over on the Guild Wars, the ArenaNet channel on Twitch. So we'll actually be able to see and hear about a lot of this sort of stuff as well. So that's going to be happening probably in roughly a day's time from now. Support for high DPI displays, new ambient occlusion, HD bloom, and anti-aliasing rendering enhancements. I am going to show the game after we go through all of this to currently show you what it looks like right now. And then we got rebuilt audio system with environmental effects. No hardware support needed. All right, so that's all very, very cool. We come over here to the official announcement for it. Again, this is just like, this is wild, man. Like, I had no idea. This is very cool. As a Guild Wars connoisseur, right, from the original, still plays the original. This is amazing, right? This is very cool. It says here that we believe that even with all the advancements and innovations over the last 2 decades, Guild Wars has a lot to offer. Dude, absolutely. So I still haven't finished a whole bunch of stuff in the game. There is still stuff that's still kicking my ass in the game, right? I promise you, like, this game, like, has tons and tons of amazing stuff in it. An enchanted world of limitless adventure, a deep and flexible skill-based combat system, PvE and PvE challenges of all types, and more. Actually, you know, the PvP side of it, PvP is really fun. It's actually really, really, really cool. But there's a lot of botting. Right? So now the team in charge of this, we're going to get to that. So like I said, there is actually a team in charge of this. This isn't just like 2 people on the weekend, right? It begins with a series of updates to Guild Wars. It begins a series of updates to Guild Wars that will be completely free to existing players and make it easier than ever for new players to experience it all firsthand. Imagine, if you will, right? Things like, you know, being able to have some sort of tab where we can see all the dungeons, or being able to actually view a map before we go out there, right? Kind of like how in World of Warcraft, where we can view all the dungeons and like the dungeon layouts and all the bosses and stuff. Imagine we can know that. We can look at all the maps and see where all the bosses are and the different types of loot that is available as well. Just to have stuff in game. Now, I know you can access the wiki through it. You can do the search thing and then type it in and it'll open it up. But something that was baked natively into the game, I think that wouldn't be too shabby. Anyway, so this is the very exciting part. To make this project possible, we partnered up with 2 weeks. A small team formed in 2024 from former ArenaNet staff. The 2 weeks team has more than 14 years of combined experience working on the original Guild Wars at ArenaNet, bringing invaluable insight and passion to this project. We can't wait for you to play and experience it. The first updates you can look forward to include. Now, before we get into that, remember, like, there was like this, it seemed like there was this one lone dude, right, that was working at ArenaNet that was kind of doing this, like doing some updates and a little bit of quality of life stuff, right? A while ago. And I thought, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. It's good to see. I know for the longest time, they've said that even if there was like one person playing, they would still leave the servers open. And I'm really happy to hear that. And obviously there is still a, you know, an absolute massive hunger for the original Guild Wars. It's an amazing game. I've been playing it since the beginning. In fact, I used to pimp the game out to a lot of my friends back in the day who were, you know, playing World of Warcraft and having to pay a subscription. I'm like, hey, well, over here, you don't have to pay. You don't have to repair your shit and all sorts. I would hype this thing up, right? It also, at the time, maybe even still, had actual, like, fully voiced acting. Something that a lot of MMOs were not doing, if at all. And ArenaNet, I think, were one of the first people. Now, I know Guild Wars 1 is not a traditional MMO. It's essentially a massively online co-op game, which I think is what they describe it as. But still, I think this is pretty epic. Now, anyway, it says the first updates you can look forward to include, obviously, a new low bundle. It'll be reforged with Prophecies, Factions, and Nightfall together. If you have purchased even one of the 3 campaigns, all of them will be unlocked through Guild Wars Reforged. So even if you don't have, right, like the other 2, but if you've got one of them, you'll get the rest. And again, like, after all of this time, Sure. I mean, you know, that's really awesome. No subscription fee, and it's going to be $19. That'll be US, so probably about maybe anywhere between 25, 28 Australian. Hardware compatibility, Reforged is Steam Deck verified and has support for modern controllers. The UI has also been redesigned with larger text options, and the game has support for high DPI displays, visual audio updates, dynamic sky bloom effects, new ambient occlusion, and lighting updates take better advantage of modern GPUs. Other visual touch-ups refine textures and make for a cleaner visual experience, while new positional audio support makes the world more immersive. One of the, I'll be honest, like the positioning already is pretty damn good, right? That's one thing I really noticed even back in the day. It was like when you're rotating your camera, you might have like a crackling fire here, and as you're rotating your camera away from it, you can literally hear it going around you. Like it was, I think they did a pretty good job. And then user friendliness. In addition to the updated UI that allows easier navigation, Guild Wars Reforged brings a new quest tracking system and an on-screen control guide. On December 3rd, when the game update goes live, you'll see the updated logo previewed at the top of this post on our website and Steam storefront. Guild Wars has grown as a game and a franchise since its beginnings in 2005. It is now 2025. Fuck them all. And we thought that this was a fitting opportunity to introduce a more modern look for our beloved classic. These updates will take effect for all players. The new Reforged edition does not contain exclusive content or updates. That's great. But it simplifies the choice of what to purchase for new players. And Guild Wars Reforged isn't about a one-time update. We plan to keep collaborating with our partners at 2 weeks to make further improvements to the game in the future. If you've never filled up your Hall of Monuments, there's no better time to get started. This thing right here makes me wonder if they're going to make it easier. Right? It's a 20-year-old game, right? You're basically, you know, farming for like skins, essentially, you know, to fill up your Hall of Monuments, right? So I do wonder if some of these things will be made a bit easier to get hold of. I'm not it depends, like to a certain degree. I don't mind gatekeeping some stuff, but I think given the amount of time that's passed, I wouldn't be against certain things to be a little bit easier for people to access, you know, that type of thing. We've been thrilled to share the world of Tyria with you for the last 20 years, and we're excited to be renewing our commitment to the game, starting December 3rd and continuing on into the future. To see Guild Wars Reforged in action and hear from both 2 weeks and ArenaNet developers, join us tomorrow, November 19th. So it's November 19th right now for me, right? On our Twitch channel at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Let me find out what that is in Australian time. 11 a.m. PST to my time. So that's going to be about, about 2 a.m. Okay, yep. That's not bad. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to be up for that, 100%. For a special live stream hosted by one of our partners, Lara, I'll call her Lara. To stay on top of Guild Wars Reforged news, update your newsletter preferences. Be sure to select Guild Wars. And of course, we also have some in-game screenshots. Now, again, like, I mean, yeah, you can see some noticing there. Like, look, they're not redoing the textures, obviously. But it looks like they're making, like, you know, the lighting, you know, a lot more sort of like pop, you know. That's yes. That's just, yep, beautiful. Yep. You know, I'm not a big fan of snow in games, right? Because usually it makes it feel real bleak and shit. But I'll tell you what, they nailed like snow in the original Guild Wars. Like the snow regions, whether they're actually snowing or snowy, they're actually really good. Just like really good, right? Anyway, so let's just turn that off. Because so this is moi in game, right? Let's jump over to Cameron and see if there's anyone talking about this, which Cameron has basically become like the hub, the central hub for all conversation, right? Currently we're in District 2 for America, so even at this time it's starting to fill up a little bit. But yeah, this is I just wonder how many folk have, like, you know, like, heard about this just yet, because it's only been just announced in the last hour or two, right? So it's not been out long in terms of news, at least from my understanding, right? At least from my understanding. See all the players in here, which is pretty groovy. But yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see, like, like how it's going to look in game. Again, like I said, like one of my, like, quality of life things, like, I really would love, is just like having, you know, like your pets, right? So, like, I've got all my pets currently just stored in my chest, yeah. But imagine being able to free up your chest, by moving all of these into some sort of, like, um, some sort of, like, miniature type wardrobe, like we get in Guild Wars 2. Essentially taking what they've done in Guild Wars 2 with a whole bunch of stuff and applying it in Guild Wars 1, right? I think that'd be pretty cool, to be perfectly honest. I think that'd be, like, really, really cool. They might even have, I mean, maybe down the track, they might even have tips and stuff in there. Like, so if you're going into a particular area, it might give you some recommendations, on who to take out, stuff like that. And if we look at the PvP area, so this is the PvP area. Like I said, there's a lot, it's a massive botting problem. I don't know if that's something that they're going to deal with, right? And there's not really a lot of people that play, like, at least for me anyway, in the random arenas area. Obviously, Heroes Ascent still goes ahead, right? But yeah, there's not really, like, I don't know how big the PvP scene is. I haven't played it for a number of years. But I would love to see it honestly kick off again. Right? If they dealt with, like, botters and stuff like that, I think that'd be pretty damn cool. But yeah, somebody's mentioning in chat, Assume Bloodfire says the fact that Guild Wars 1 website specifically mentions PvP is empowering. The person above it, says ban bots, and then the game is, SC says ban bots and the game is utterly unplayable. I don't agree with that. Like, we don't need bots, right? At least not like look, if you want, this would be what I would do, right? I would make it official bots. I would make it so that, like, if you're running, like, random arenas or something like that, then, you have the opportunity to, like, the team fills up with bots that are part of, ArenaNet's code, not just, just some dude, like, farming stuff, right? And then that way, you could constantly play it, right? Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Heroes Ascent is basically you, single player, taking out a team of henchmen against another single player with their team of henchmen, right? And so, like, I don't see why they can't sort of apply that to things like random arenas, where, you click random arena, and it'll just fill it up with bots, and then people can either maybe join those matches on the fly or whatnot. I mean, I don't know. I think there could be some stuff that they could really figure out here. I think that'd be very cool. And there's a lot in this game. Like, I mean, apart from all the massive campaigns, the expansion with Eye of the North, which still hasn't had any mention, actually. I'm kind of worried about that. I don't know what's going on with that. They could definitely do a lot here, to try and, like, fix things up. Even things like tonics and stuff like that, have some sort of menu, things like that. You might have, for example, things like your costumes, right? So your costume settings here, so you can obviously equip costumes, right? But, again, have some sort of wardrobe function where you could actually just have them all in there. You click on the button and it loads up all the costumes that you've bought and have available to you. Same with the gear. Like, you notice here, like obviously, like, you'll carry different weapons and stuff on your person to swap between and use. And again, I think that, like, I think having something a little bit more accessible in the background, so you don't have to physically cart this stuff around, right? So, for example, things like, if I wanted to change, like, my current gear, right? The Tyrion, I got Tyrion investments, and obviously the essentially the tattoo armor. If I want to swap it over, just to the Luxon set that I've got carrying around with me, I can easily. I don't have to go double click, click. I would have this. I would click on like the torso piece, and then like the vestments, and then I would have like a menu of all of the crafted vestments that I've ever made, right? Available, and then you can just swap them in and out, right? You don't even have to transmute it if you don't want to. You can just do it that. I know too, like obviously you could set up, obviously I think you do. You can set up like different weapon sets, right? Oh no, that's carrying them. Sorry, my bad. So yeah, I don't know. I there will be some stuff I think that we could definitely like bring over from Guild Wars 2, which I think would work perfectly in Guild Wars 1. Again, as quality of life. And by the sounds of it, like they're not messing around. Like they're not messing around like at all. You know, they really do, have it really sounds like they've got something like very special planned for the future as well, because obviously this is a rebranding of their product, and they want to keep it fresh. They know Guild Wars 2 is their main baby, but obviously it was enough that they actually have now a secondary team with 2 weeks that is made up of people that know this game by the sounds of it inside and out, and allows us to then have this glorious game again. I mean, people are still playing it. Obviously, you can see there's still people in a lot of the major towns and stuff, because it's a highly instanced game. You don't need to go out with players. You can just take out your heroes, your henchmen, or your mercenaries. So that gives a lot of flexibility as well. But I'm very curious about going down the track. What they'll actually add. I've given my suggestions. I have no doubt other people also have some suggestions out there as well. And you'll notice my UI. I've had this layout for almost ever since the beginning. That I've set up this particular way. One of the cool things I've always loved is this. You go into the observe section by pressing B, and you can just click on stuff and then just watch a match unfold. I mean, that's amazing. Like, it's just like, there's not a lot of games that do that, if any. So I actually really like that. I think that's very cool. But anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think of Guild Wars Reforged. Are you excited? Will it bring you back to the game? I certainly will be checking it out. And yeah, let me know. Catch you next time.